Hey everybody. Gonna get started again today here in just a couple of minutes. I'm Robert. I'm gonna be having the privilege of walking you through another what I hope will be challenging flow to get your mind off of what a Tuesday may have brought you this week. You're gonna want a strap or a belt or anything else anything else you can use as a strap for this practice. As we said throughout these practices, we're donation based on these flows, so every little bit that you can contribute certainly would help. Treat this like you would any other flow here at Black Swan, so anything from a couple of dollars to $10 would be great. We share that among the yoga teachers and it keeps us going here. Also, if you have any sort of suggestions to tell us how we can make this flow better, we're certainly open to hear that. Finally, if you end up tagging yourself on social media, please tag me at RT Weimer, Weimer. I'd love to see the students flowing through their practices. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started in our practice. We're going to get started at the top of our mat in Tadasana pose. I'm going to face you just to make it a little bit easier. You stay where you are. Our toes are together. Our heels are 1 inch apart. There's a micro bend in the knee which adds a little bit of buoyancy to our practice. Your shoulders are broad and pulled back down from your ears. Your palms are facing forward. Your chin is tucked, however your gaze is lifted. And next your tailbone is cupped up and under, pulling everything towards the midline, belly button to your spine. Let's go ahead and close your eyes or soften your gaze, looking at nothing in particular. I want you to call to mind something that has made you happy these past 2 weeks. Some little thing, something that is unusual, something that's new, something that's been forgotten. I want you to hold on to that through the practice, through the difficult parts of this practice, through the parts that may make you want to slow down or not push yourself. I want you to use that happy thing to push you a little bit further to expand your practice as you see fit. Let's take in one deep breath in through the nose. Hold at the top, sip in just a little bit more air. Open your mouth, sigh it out. All right, without further ado, let's get right to it. Sun Salutation A, the first one slower and together. Arms straight, arms come above the head, hands may touch. Leave some room for your ears around your biceps. Maybe gaze up to the ceiling, imagining that you're doing a handstand from the start of practice. Exhale, preserve all of that length. Swan dive over straightened legs and put your hands flat on the earth. From here, push into the earth. Feel how the hamstrings extend and lengthen. Inhale, halfway lift, gaze towards the front of your mat. Extend the booty and the hips towards the back. Head comes towards the front. Exhale, forward fold. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Hands to the mat. Right leg step back, left leg steps back. We're in the top of a push-up, also called a plank pose. Our wrists are directly underneath our shoulder blades. Our toes are pointed straight down to the mat. Our heels are high and heavy. There's a doming sensation along the shoulder blades, and rather than staring straight at the ground beneath you, stare at a point 6 inches in front of your fingertips. This causes the body to slightly pull forward, engages everything. Now from this plank, I want you to make little circles with the plank, coming in circles on your wrists, circles on your shoulders. You should feel the legs engaged in this plank. Once you have the arms engaged and the legs engaged in plank, stop here for a second. Now let's go as slow as possible, the bottom of a push-up, also called chaturanga. Here, our elbows are glued to our side. Don't worry if you quiver or if you wobble. If you need to drop to your knees, go ahead. Hold it for as long as you can. I'm holding it with you. Now pull the body forward onto the tops of the feet. We're in upward facing dog. For an additional challenge, your shins and your knees and your thighs are off of the mat. Your shoulders are broad behind you. Your elbows are glued into the sides. Gaze down the tip of your nose. Tuck the chin, but keep the gaze lifted. Now using just your abs, push up to downward facing dog over the tops of the feet. For our downward facing dog, we have a checklist. Our hands are flat on the mat, allowing no space in between. Our feet, our heels are heavy, allowing gravity to do the job, pulling them closer towards the mat. Remove the tongue from the roof of the mouth and shake the head dramatically, yes. Shake the head dramatically, no. Micro bend the knees, bring the knees to hover above the mat. Now shoot the hips back up to the ceiling for your best downward facing dog. Your gaze is at your knees or up to your belly button. Now look between your hands, right foot between your hands, left foot between your hands. Halfway lift, lengthen your spine, lengthen your hamstrings. Exhale, forward fold, interlace the fingers behind the calves, draw the head to rest comfortably on the shin, release the bind, reverse the swan dive, arms straight above the head, maybe they come together to touch. At the top, lean back into a back bend, your hips come forward as your hands come back. Hands pass through center, down by the side, reset. Let's link some breath to movement, bring a little bit more heat to this practice. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, jump back, plank, press. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Inhale. Exhale, go through your checklist. Inhale and exhale. Look in between your hands. Step, walk, float to the top of your mat. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Reverse the swan dive, root to rise, gaze up at the thumbs, baby back bend, deeper than last time. Exhale, hands pass through center, down by the side. Again, inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, jump back, plank, press. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale through the nose, your heels are heavy. Exhale. Inhale, your hands are flat on the mat. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Look to the front of your mat. Float effortlessly to the top of your mat. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Root to rise. Hands above the head. Back bend at the top. Exhale. Hands pass through center. Down by the side. Again. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Gaze to your knees, gaze to your groin. Heels are heavy. Extend the booty up to the ceiling. Draw the shoulder blades apart. Final inhale. Final exhale. Look in between your hands. Step, walk, float to the top of your mat. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, gaze up at the thumbs, deep back bend. Exhale, hands pass through center, down by the side. For this last one, you know the posture. We're going to take advantage of proprioception, which is our body's knowledge of where we are in space, even when our eyes are closed. We're going to do this last sun salutation, our best sun salutation, with our eyes closed the entire time. Focus on how it feels, not on how it looks. With eyes closed, hands up, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, jump back, plank, press. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Inhale for 1. Inhale for 2. Inhale for 3. With eyes closed, look between the hands, float to the top of your mat. Halfway lift, forward fold. Root to rise, gaze up at the thumbs, deep back bend. Exhale, hands pass through center, down by the side, open the eyes. Sun salutation B, the first one a little slower. Sit down in a chair pose. Your knees are together, you're sitting deeply as if you're on an imaginary chair. Gaze up at your thumbs. Exhale, forward fold over straightened legs. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Exhale, hands to the mat, jump back, plank, press. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot between the hands, left heel plants. Inhale, warrior one. Your hips are straight to the front of your mat. Long exhale, hands to the mat, one leg, plank, press. Upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left foot between the hands. Warrior one on the inhale. Hands to the mat, one leg, plank, press on the exhale. Upward facing. Push back, downward facing dog. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale for 3. Exhale for 3. Final inhale. Final exhale. Look between the hands. Jump silently to the top of your mat like a ninja. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Root to sit down in a chair pose. Gaze up at your thumbs. Exhale, hands pass through center, down by the side. Reset. A little faster this time. Sit down in the chair pose. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Hands to the mat, jump back, plank, press. Upward facing. Downward facing, right foot between the hand. Warrior one. Hands to the mat, one leg, plank, press. Upward facing. Downward facing, left foot between the hands. Warrior one. Hands to the mat, one leg, plank, press. Upward facing. Downward facing dog. This time, inhale through the nose. Open your mouth, sigh it out. Inhale through the nose. Sigh it out. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose for 3. Inhale through the nose. And exhale for 4. Look between the hands, float to the top of your mat. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Sit down in a chair pose. Hands pass through center, down by the side. Last one, same thing. Close your eyes if you can do so safely. With eyes closed, sit down in the chair pose. Forward fold. It's okay if you wobble. Halfway lift. Hands to the mat, jump back, plank, press. Upward facing. Push back, downward facing, right foot between the hands. Warrior one becomes a balancing pose. Hands to the mat, one leg, plank, press. Upward facing. Push back, downward facing, left foot between the hands. Warrior one on the inhale. Hands to the mat, one leg, plank, press. Upward facing. Push back, downward facing. You did it. Inhale through the nose. Sigh it out. Inhale. Sigh it out, releasing the heat. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose for 3. Inhale. Exhale for 4. Look between the hands, float to the top of your mat with eyes closed. Halfway lift, forward fold. Sit down in a chair pose. Sit deeper down in a chair pose. Deepest chair pose yet. Hands pass through center, down by the side, open the eyes. Awesome. Feet hip width distance apart. Hands to the hips. We're gonna lean, gaze to the ceiling, lean over, straighten legs. Yogi toe lock, big toes. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Exhale, bring the elbows directly behind you, engage the biceps, pull the head to rest comfortably around the shin and knees. With every inhale, lengthen your spine. With every exhale, further deepen the fold. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Final inhale, final exhale. Release the bind, let's go a little bit further. Stand on your palms for gorilla pose. Your toes are brushing your your wrists. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, bow the arms out to the side. Bring the head deeply into the knees and shin. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, try and straighten the legs a little bit. You can bend your knees as much as is necessary to rest your chest on your thighs. Inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. Release the bind, hands to the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, come all the way in. Let's check back up, check back in at the top of our mat, toes together, heels 1 inch apart. Palms facing forward, shoulders broad, chin tucked, gaze lifted. All right, right foot to the rear of your mat. Left foot 90 degrees facing the front of your mat. Arms to a T. Lean over as far as you can over the straightened left leg. Place your left hand on your foot, ankle, shin, or a block. Gaze can remain at your planted hand or up to your lifted thumb. We're here for 3. Engage the abs by tucking the tailbone up and under. 4 and 5. Come out of the pose, deeply bend the front knee. We're in Warrior 2. With Warrior 2, start to draw the left knee over to your left. Deeply sit into your pose. Shoulders come down the ears. You can see your fingertips in front of you and your fingertips behind you if you look behind you. Very nice. Inhale, reverse the warrior. Exhale, side angle pose. Bring your left hand to hover on the outside of your bent left knee. Look at your right palm. Extend your right palm over your head. Gaze at your palm. Now twist your body slightly. Tuck the tailbone up and in. Belly button to spine. Lengthen the body. We're looking for a straight line from the heel all the way up to the fingertips. For 4 and 5. Without looking down, place the left hand 6 inches in front of your bent left knee. Slide into your half moon pose. To start with, our right hand will stay at our right hip. Your left hand can be at a block or on your fingertips in front of your straightened left leg. Try and stack your hips, stack your shoulders. If you're pretty good here, free the right hand, but keep the gaze where it is. If you're good here, gaze can change up to the lifted right thumb. If you're still pretty good here, bring the left hand to hover in half prayer, and now we're just floating in space. For 4 and 5. Keep the leg lifted, both hands to the mat, toes are now pointing towards the mat. Right hand about 6 inches in front of the bent left foot. Left hand comes up to the ceiling for twisted half moon pose. Your gaze can remain at the planted hand, or if you're feeling pretty good, up to the lifted thumb. Try and draw the heel up and above the booty. Now this one's fun. If you've been in my class before, we're gonna do baby grasshopper. It sounds a lot harder and it looks a lot harder than it actually is. I'll walk you through it. It's a lot of fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. Bend the lifted leg, even if you have to drop the lifted knee a little bit.
With the left hand, grab the pinky edge side of the bent right foot. Right hand comes to 3 o'clock. If the ground were a clock, a lot of weight in your right hand. Start to straighten your right leg, hold on to the pinky edge, sit down, baby grasshopper. We're gonna come out the way we came in, leg comes above the head, both hands to the mat, we're in standing split. From our standing split, you can stay here, trying to seesaw the action, trying to get the leg above the hips, bringing the head towards the shin, or an excellent place for a couple of handstand hops. If you're doing handstand hops, gaze between your palms, closer to your heel, think cat pose, lead with your right heel, kick in. We're looking for 3 handstand hops. Don't favor one leg over the other. And back to standing split. From here, drop the lifted leg off about 3.5, 4 foot behind you. Leave a little bit of space in between the hips. Come up to stand. You have 2 options here. Option 1, you can grab for opposite elbows. Option 2, reverse namaste or reverse prayer. Either one you pick, gaze in front of you, hinge at the hips, lean forward, drawing the shin and the forehead closer and closer to each other. If you're grabbing opposite elbows, keep on doing that. We're here for 3, for 4, and for 5. Release the bind. Make a V with your 2 hands using the webbing of your thumb. Cup behind your left heel. Draw the shin and forehead closer and closer using that bind. For 4 and 5. Bend the left knee, both hands to the mat. Right heel lifts, left foot comes back, one-legged plank. Press, upward facing, push back, downward facing dog. Look between your hands. Step, walk, float to the top of your mat. Halfway lift. Forward fold, reverse the swan dive, gaze up at the thumb, deep back wing, you've been here before. Exhale, hands pass through center, down by the side. Same thing, other side, left foot to the rear of your mat, right foot 90 degrees to the front, arms to a T. Lean over as far as you can first, so hinge the hips first, and then place the right hand on the foot, ankle, shin, or a block for your triangle pose. Gaze at your planted foot or up to your lifted hand. Tuck the tailbone up and under, draw the navel towards the spine, free the neck. Come out of the pose, back to our neutral standing pose, deeply bend the front knee, draw the right knee away from the midline, shoulders down from the ears. Inhale, flip the palm, reverse the warrior, deeply bend this front knee. Exhale, lean forward, side angle pose. We're gonna come to hover on the outside of the bent right knee, putting no weight with this right hand. Look to your left palm, extend it over your head. Twist the torso slightly to really get the maximum extension in this pose. For 4 and 5. Right hand 6 inches in front. Grab onto your left hip to start with, and we're in our half moon pose. Our hips are stacked, our shoulders are stacked. Maybe if you're feeling pretty stable here, you fly the left hand up to the ceiling. If you're feeling stable still, gaze up to the left thumb. If you're still feeling stable, bring the right hand to half prayer. Let's see if I got it in me. For just a second. All right, keep the leg lifted, toes pointed straight down. Left hand plants this time. Right hand frees up to the ceiling. Twisted half moon pose. Really work to elevate the lifted heel. Maybe you gaze up to your right thumb. Baby grasshopper on this side. Bend the lifted leg. You can bring it down a little bit. Right hand grabs the pinky edge of the foot. Left hand comes to 9 o'clock. Keep the pinky edge. Start to straighten the left leg as you sit down, baby grasshopper. See, it looks a lot harder than it actually is. Keeping everything exactly the way it is. We're gonna come out the way we came in. Release the bind, both hands to the mat. Standing split, or if you're trying to go airborne, handstand hops. Favor one leg over the other. Trying to get your weight over your shoulders and down. Let's drop that lifted leg off 3.5, 4 foot. Give your hips a little bit of space so you don't want a tightrope, more of a railroad track. Pick your arm variation and lean forward over your straight and right leg, bringing your forehead closer and closer to your shin for our pyramid pose. We're here for 3, 4, and 5. Grab both hands behind the heel. Really use that bind to draw the forehead closer and closer. At this point, it may be resting on your kneecap, resting on your shin. We're here for 3, for 4, and 5. Both hands to the mat, left heel lifts, one-legged plank, press, upward facing, push back, downward facing dog. Look between your hands, jump to the top of your mat, halfway lift, forward fold, reverse the swan dive, gaze up at the thumbs, deepest back bend yet, last standing back bend. Exhale, hands past your center, down by the side. Okay, left foot to the rear of your mat. We're gonna interlace the fingers behind the back, making a bind. We're gonna draw the bind off of the booty, draw the shoulders down to ears, gaze up to the ceiling. Make sure your feet are wide enough, as wide as they will go, so long as your toes are still pointing forward. Stare up to the ceiling. Now exhale, change the gaze. Gaze at the groin. And then as you breathe, start to bring the bind up and above your head to one day rest on the mat above your head. With an inhale, lengthen the spine. With an exhale, deepen the fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, deepen. Final inhale. Final exhale. Release the bind, hands to the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, come all the way up. Your first opportunity for a headstand today. We're gonna keep the legs as they are. We're gonna do chaturanga hands on the mat. And by chaturanga hands, it's like we're doing a push-up in between our feet. The heel of our hand is roughly equal with the heel of our foot. The tendency here is to splay the arms out to the side. But what you do is you sacrifice all of that integration to really pull the head down. Instead, if you curl the elbows and rotate them inwardly and protract the shoulder blades, you're really able to capture that integration to pull the head flat on the mat. Now from here, you have a bunch of options. One option may just be coming up to your tippy toes. Another option may be lifting up one leg, resting it on your knee or your tricep, resting up the other leg, tricep, and then maybe one day completing the curl up into your headstand. There should be little to no weight, certainly no pain in your neck and in your head. We're trying to get our hips directly over our shoulders. There's a lot of weight in our actual hands and elbows. Come back out the way you came in with control. And a challenge here for my yogis is try and exit into crow. So keep the knees on the triceps, draw the heels up into the booty, camber the fingertips, pick the body up off the mat and directly into crow. Exhale, release the pose. Maybe dangle for just a second. Hands to the hips, halfway lift. Exhale, come all the way up. Look to the front of your mat. Step to the front of your mat. From here, let's close it out with a sun salutation. Inhale, look up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, jump back, plank, press. Upward facing, downward facing dog. From this downward facing dog, let's go ahead and drop to our knees. So, we're gonna do Ekapada Kondinyasana. We're gonna do the flying splits. It's a lot of fun. It's one of the most approachable arm balances, and I'm gonna walk you through it. If you've taken a yoga class with a teacher before, you'll get to this next series where the teacher will say, knee to nose or cheetah, and then they'll say right arm, right elbow, and what they'll tell you is optional arm balance. And the optional arm balance is the standing splits. So we're gonna take a little time to give you the tools so that you can impress yourself with your practice next time a teacher calls that. So the first thing to know about this pose is you have to do this really awkward movement with your left hand. You actually have to bring your left elbow into your torso, into your body to make a shelf. The tendency in this pose, if you've never done it before, is that the left hand kind of hugs along the side and doesn't actually come in contact with any flesh. You need for it to actually come in contact with flesh. So I recommend right now, while you're sitting on your knees, I know it looks silly, but take a little time to bring the left elbow in and make that contact with your body, and remember how that contact feels with your torso, with your belly, because you're gonna need that again. All right, so this is a multi-step pose. So step one is just gonna be hands and knees. Step two, you're gonna bring the right knee into the right tricep. From here, you can bend the right elbow a little bit to make a shelf so that your knee doesn't just slide right down. Instead, it's kind of elevated. Step three, you're gonna have to get kind of low and make that shelf with the left elbow. You're not quite on the ground yet, but you're pretty close. Step four, you're gonna kick the left foot up, make a little kickstand, a little training wheel. Step five, you're gonna look forward and you're just gonna try and pick up, even if you're just picking it up for a second, that left foot. And then step six, maybe one day, you can extend the right leg straight into a split. Don't focus so much on that last step. It took me like months and months of doing the previous step with just the bent knee before I was able to do the straightened leg. But try it out. Spend a little bit of time in each step, and don't worry, we'll get the chance to do it on the other side here. So on this one, hands and knees, left knee into the left tricep, bend the left elbow a little bit to make that shelf. Right elbow bends deeply and makes contact with the flesh, with the torso. And just chill here for a second and tell yourself that this is okay. And from here, just pick up the right foot, you're on the right tippy toes, and just chill here for a second. We're not going airborne yet. And then once you're ready, and just figure you don't have very far to face plant, pick up the right leg, and then maybe one day, extend the left leg straight. Harder to do that and talk at the same time. So, fool around with that for a second. We're going to put it all together in an actual flow. So, let's get started standing at the top of our mat. Just a preview of what's going to come with our arm balance. So, hands above the head. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, jump back, plank, press. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right leg lifts, three-legged dog. Knee to nose, come up on the left tippy toes for cheetah. Right leg back, three-legged dog. Right knee, right elbow, optional arm balance. Bring it back. Right knee, left elbow. There's another arm balance, but we'll save that for tomorrow's class. Three-legged dog, right knee setting up for pigeon. So, with pigeon, our right foot comes towards the left wrist. Our knee is flat on the mat. Think about minimizing the space underneath your hips. Look back at your trailing leg. You can actually use your trailing leg to kind of inchworm your hips a little bit further back, a little bit closer to the mat. Before you go down, let's go up. So walk the hands back. Really focus on driving those hips flat to the mat. And then with an exhale, lean forward. Let's sit into our hips for a second. Take a couple of breaths. Maybe your hands come above your head, grabbing opposite elbows. Try and draw your chest flat onto the mat. Option, when coming out of this pose, we can play around with king pigeon and mermaid, all those fun things that look inaccessible but are really just the building blocks of furthering your practice. So one thing you can do is just lift up your leg, and that's a version of king pigeon. Cool. Another thing you can do is bring the left hand around to grab that leg and start to draw the heel into the groin, sitting up, putting a lot of weight into the right hand. If you're ready for it, maybe both hands free. Excellent place for your strap to draw the knee in towards the hips. Maybe to grab the strap with one hand. Release. Tuck the toe. Step back, downward facing dog. From this downward facing dog, left foot up to three-legged dog. Knee to nose, come up on the right tippy toes. Try and get the knee as close to the chin and forehead as possible. Exhale, three-legged dog. Left knee, left tricep, optional arm balance. Bring it back. Left knee, right elbow. We'll wait till tomorrow. Bring it back. Set up for pigeon. Sending it through. Your left heel is close to your right wrist. Look back at your trailing leg. Tippy toe back. Come up out of the hips. Really put some weight into your hips, drawing them down to the ground. And then when you're ready, exhale down into your reclined pigeon. All right, same thing on the other side. We're flirting around with king pigeon. So step one would just be picking up this leg. Step two may involve using the strap safely. Hooking the foot. And then maybe you start to draw the foot closer. Maybe you can reach around and grab the foot. Maybe you can grab the foot with both hands. Release, move your strap off to the side, tuck the toes, kick back, downward facing dog. Walk out your downward facing dog for a second. That can be a lot on your kneecaps. Look in between your hands, jump to a seat with both legs in front of you. Now we're gonna take the right leg and we're gonna bring it behind us. Our toes, the tops of our feet are flat on the mat and our toes are pointed straight out. If you feel any sort of pain in the knee or the hips, back out of this pose. Only do it if you can do so safely. But really try and sit on the actual top of your foot off to the right. Your both hips are planted on the mat. Hands lift up to the ceiling. Exhale, forward fold over the left leg. Both hands grab for the left foot. Start to draw the knee to rest on the shin. We're here for 3, for 4, and 5. All right. You can either walk your hands back, plank press, chaturanga, or pick the legs up, plank press, chaturanga, upward facing, downward facing dog. Look between the hands, jump to a seat, or you can jump right to the pose. Well, just jump to a seat. And then bend the left leg in half, the top of your foot is planted flat on the mat. Your heel is planted, your toes are pointed straight up to the ceiling. Legs lift. Remember, no pain in the knee. If you feel any pain, just swap over to Janu Shirshasana, a little bit less intense version of this pose. Both hands lift, lean over, straighten the leg, draw the forehead to rest on the shin. We're here for 3, for 4, and for 5. Scuttle back or lean forward, shoot the legs back, plank, press. Upward facing, downward facing dog. Look between the hands, jump to a seat. And from here, we're gonna do Baddha Konasana in 2 flavors. Flavor 1 is just gonna be your standard. Bring the feet together like a book with the bottoms of the feet facing the top of the ceiling. We're thinking about with our muscles, drawing the knees down to the mat, but we don't want to round our back. Instead, we want to keep our back as straight as possible, even if that means we don't go down very far. In our next version of that pose, we'll get a chance to really bend the back and go down all the way to the bottom. You can press your elbows inside of your knees to kind of draw and pin the knees closer to the mat. For 4 and 5. Now, extend the diamond further out. We're going to bring both hands underneath the feet, and then we're going to bring the head down in between on the bottoms of your feet. Round your back as much as is necessary. Really using the arms like a forklift to draw the head in between the feet. For 3, for 4, and for 5. All right, let's go ahead and come to a comfortable seat, sitting on your mat. We're gonna do a seated Shavasana for today. So go ahead and sit down somewhere comfortable, really focusing on your sit bones being flat on the mat. Your hands can be face up or face down. Go ahead and close the eyes or soften the gaze. Just enjoying your practice, allowing it all to kind of settle down into the bottom of your feet, the bottom of your knees. I want you to recall that thing that we discussed in the beginning of class, the thing that's made you happy, the thing that surprised you in these past couple of turbulent weeks, that thing that has kind of been your saving grace. And I want you to call that to mind and be happy that that's in your life. The student and teacher inside me sees and honors the student and teacher inside each one of y'all. Namaste. Well, thanks guys for joining me. Again, we are donation based, so if you liked the class today and you want to see more of this, just let us know. Donate $1, $2, $5, $10, whatever you have. It's being split amongst our yoga teachers, and that's how we keep this thing going. It also lets us know that there's a demand out there, that people want to do yoga with us digitally. Shoot us some feedback. Again, if you tag yourself on social media, please tag me at RT Weimer, RT